And we never really seem to examine these expressions very carefully at all. We just sort of say these things as if they really made sense. Like, legally drunk. Well, if it's legal, what's the f***ing problem?
George Carlin changed stand-up comedy by turning everyday observations into targets for relentless deconstruction.
Did you ever have to fart on a bus or an airplane, but you hadn't been farting all that day? So you didn't really know the nature of the beast.
These are George Carlin's funniest jokes ever. A place for my stuff.
This is my office over here. You notice that? It's gotta be my office, right? If that's my job, it's gotta be my office. Looks like an office to me. Got the water cooler here. That's the first thing I always looked for when I worked in an office, you know? The water cooler. Little place to hang out in between periods of making believe I was working. Actually, it's just a little place for my stuff. You gotta have that. Gotta have a little place to put your stuff during the day, during the evening, whatever it is, don't you? Sure. Everybody's gotta have a little place for their stuff. That's all life is about. That's the meaning of life. Trying to find a place to keep your stuff.
He takes something embarrassingly ordinary and makes it sound like the engine of modern life, circling the same simple idea from different angles. The 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. Here's my problem. Why are there 10? You don't need 10. I think the list of commandments was deliberately and artificially inflated to get it up to 10. It's a padded list. Here's what they did. About 5,000 years ago, a bunch of religious and political hustlers got together to try to figure out how to control people, how to keep them in line. They knew people were basically stupid and would believe anything they were told, so they announced that God had given them some commandments.
Carlin takes one of the most over-serious subjects possible and treats it like bad editing, attacking the clumsy structure of the rules themselves. Baseball and football.
I like to do something called baseball and football because these two things are such a part of our lives, these two activities, and yet they're so different. In baseball, you wear a cap. In football, you wear a helmet. Baseball has a 7th inning stretch. Football has a 2-minute warning. Baseball has no time limit. We don't know how long it's going to last. We might have extra innings. Football is rigidly timed, and it will end even if we have to go to sudden death.
He turns two sports into two whole moral universes just by comparing their language, imagery, and tone. The airline announcement joke.
Whole thing starts when you get to the gate. First announcement. We would like to begin the boarding process. Extra word, process. Not necessary. Boarding is enough. We'd like to begin the boarding. Simple. Tells the story. People add extra words when they want things to sound more important than they really are. Boarding process. Sounds important. It isn't. It's just a bunch of people getting on an airplane. People like to sound important. Weathermen on television talk about shower activity. Sounds more important than showers. I even heard one guy on CNN talk about a rain event. Swear to God, he said, Louisiana's expecting a rain event. I thought, holy shit, I hope I can get tickets to that.
George translates fake public language back into plain human nonsense, making airline vocabulary feel like a failed attempt to disguise inconvenience as professionalism. The American dream.
The only true, lasting American value that's left, buying things. People spending money they don't have on things they don't need. Money they don't have on things they don't need, so they can max out their credit cards and spend the rest of their lives paying 18% interest on something that costs $12.50. And they didn't like it when they got it home anyway. Not too bright, folks. Not too bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. And you say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that and the kids still can't pass the test. So, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades.
He takes one of the most flattering phrases in American life and turns it inside out until it sounds like a marketing slogan for gullibility. 7 words you can't say on television.
There are words that you can say, no problem. Topography! No one has ever gone to jail for screaming topography. But there are some words that you can go to jail for. There are some words that we just have decided we will not say all the time. Sometimes, okay. If you're running through the jungle chasing somebody that we're at war with, you can holler them. If you're shooting a criminal, it's okay. It's the all-American thing. Dirty. But if you're with the bishop's wife at lunch, it's better not to ask for the lettuce.
This routine turned censorship into comedy without sounding academic or preachy, treating taboo language like a ridiculous filing system that nobody can explain but everybody obeys. Religion and God jokes.
Religion easily has the greatest story ever told. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
This routine hits because Carlin doesn't approach religion like a solemn debate opponent, but like a man staring at a cultural habit that nobody bothered to fact-check. The jokes work because he reduces giant sacred ideas to everyday absurdities without sounding nervous about it, as even people who disagree with him usually remember how direct and clean the setup to payoff logic is. The planet is fine.
Unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there's nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are compared to the people, the planet is doing great. The planet has been here for 4.5 billion years, all right? 4.5 billion. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe. 200,000? Maybe. And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion.
This is one of Carlin's most quoted late routines because the title already contains the twist as he starts where you think an environmental lecture is going, then flips the target completely. The advertising lullaby.
This next thing is about advertising. And by the way, if you should have any cognitive dissonance about the fact that I do commercials for 10, 10, 220 and still attack advertising up here, well, you're just going to have to figure that out on your own, okay? Now, this is called advertising lullaby. Keeping in mind, of course, that the whole purpose of advertising is to lull you to sleep.
This joke is hilarious because it takes the language of commercials and turns it into a weird, soothing chant that exposes its hypnotic nature. Carlin stacks fake promises, fake urgency, and fake product magic until the whole advertising culture sounds like a pyramid scheme. Cars and driving.
The person who drives the car, they're the one who goes for a drive. The other people, they go for a ride. People don't know that. Tell them when they're in your car. Say, you are going for a ride. I'm going for a drive. Because I'm making the payments on this. This is my car for purposes of discussion. And it's like any car, it's tough to get into it. You know, you got to get in the car first. And it's not easy if you think about it. There's a certain amount of risk involved getting in the car. Have you noticed how wonderful it is, the way they designed the car? That the driver's door is right out in the middle of traffic?
Carlin understood that driving makes normal people irrational, and this routine squeezes every drop of comedy from that truth. He takes habits every driver has and makes them sound petty, territorial, and absurdly emotional. Farting in public.
Or if, in fact, you may be about to precipitate a public health emergency. When releasing a test fart, it is often good to engage in an act of subterfuge, such as reaching for a magazine. Say, is that Golf Digest?
This is one of his funniest pure embarrassment bits because it treats a childish topic with absurd strategic seriousness. Carlin breaks the situation down like a field manual for covert operations, which generates massive laughs through tonal contrast. You have no rights.
I have a right, you have no right, we have a right, they don't have a right. Folks, I hate to spoil your fun, but there's no such thing as rights, okay? They're imaginary. We made them up, like the boogeyman. The Three Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Mother Goose, like that. Rights are an idea. They're just imaginary. They're a cute idea, cute, but that's all, cute and fictional. But if you think you do have rights, let me ask you this. Where do they come from? People say, well, they come from God. They're God-given rights. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again.
This one is funny because it starts from language people use proudly and strips it down until it sounds like a childish fantasy. George takes the warm, noble sound of rights and keeps pressing until the word feels flimsy and negotiable, revealing the illusion. The laughs come from the bluntness and his absolute refusal to comfort the audience, making it sharp and uncomfortable. He systematically dismantles the concept of inalienable rights using historical examples that can't be argued against. The bit points out how rights disappear instantly during wartime emergencies or when convenient for those in power. Free-floating hostility.
Now, this next piece of material is real simple. It's called free-floating hostility.
This is one of Carlin's funniest late-career anger pieces because it sounds like a man finally emptying decades of accumulated irritation. The structure bounces from one grievance to another so quickly the audience never gets comfortable or settled. What makes it funny is that the complaints range from legitimate to petty without acknowledging the difference. It's rant comedy with meticulous craftsman's control hidden beneath apparent chaos. He lists irritations ranging from existential dread to minor social annoyances without hierarchy or organizing principle. The bit captures the modern experience of being constantly low-level angry at everything. Suggests years of suppressed resentment finally erupting in one sustained burst of misanthropy. The complaints include both serious social critiques like corruption and trivial grievances like loud chewing. The deliberate randomness shows how free-floating hostility doesn't discriminate between majors to people who say, "Have a nice day," without caring if you do. The routine works because everyone has felt this unfocused background rage at the world's general wrongness. His delivery makes widespread misanthropy sound not just reasonable, but like the only sane response to modern life. The traffic incident joke.
Let's have a little fun here tonight. Let's do the show that I was planning on right up till September 10th. And it starts by me explaining to you that a lot of you know this already, I don't talk about myself very much in my shows. You know, it's really not my style. But I had an incident in traffic recently that I think I ought to tell you about. And there are a couple things about me you ought to know first. I drive kind of recklessly, I take a lot of chances, I never repair my vehicles, and I don't believe in traffic laws.
This is one of Carlin's most underrated pieces because it turns tragedy into commentary about human spectatorship. He notices how people react to accidents, then pushes that observation until it becomes both ugly and hilarious. The routine works because he's not discussing traffic but exposing curiosity, selfishness, and morbid appetites people deny having. It's nasty comedy executed with perfect control, revealing humanity's worst impulses. He captures the rubbernecking phenomenon where people slow down, creating additional traffic just to stare at wreckage. The bit exposes the morbid curiosity everyone experiences, but social norms prevent them from admitting. His tone drips with contempt for drivers pretending their gawking stems from concern rather than entertainment. The routine reveals how people secretly hope to see bodies or dramatic destruction, not just fender benders. He describes drivers disappointed when accidents turn out to be minor with no visible injuries or gore. The comedy comes from recognizing this ugly truth about ourselves that nobody wants to acknowledge publicly. His delivery treats morbid fascination as obvious human nature rather than something shameful to hide. The bit makes audiences complicit by forcing them to laugh at their own dark impulses toward spectacle. He suggests people view accidents as free entertainment provided by others' misfortune. The routine works because the observation is completely accurate, even though it's deeply unflattering to human nature. George Carlin spent 5 decades proving that the best comedy doesn't make people comfortable, but forces them to confront hypocrisy, question authority, and laugh at the absurdity of beliefs they'd never examined before. His evolution from clean-cut comedian to counterculture philosopher demonstrated that intelligence and profanity could coexist, creating a comedy legacy that influenced every provocative comic who came after him. Which George Carlin joke do you think was the funniest? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more iconic comedy jokes.